What is going on? I am Cole and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, thank you for stopping by. And in this video, I go over my most anticipated comics for New Comic Book Day, March 1st, 2023. I usually have a guest with me. They'll talk about their most anticipated comics of the week. And yeah, we'll go from there. So if you want to see what my most anticipated comics are, make sure you stick through this intro.
Most anticipated comic books. Most anticipated comic books from Cole.
One of the things I like to say in this video is that every week when I'm picking what I recommend, I go to the website League of Comic Geeks and I go through what they have up and what's coming out. The reason that I like to let people know about this is, one, this is the resource that I use. You can add stuff that's on your pull list so you know what's coming out, but also they do have issues here and there where maybe there's an indie book that comes out or says it comes out but actually doesn't. So the reason that I like to include that is that I'm not trying to give you some misinformation or tell you to pick up a book that's not actually coming out. It's just usually the reason is that that's where I get my information. And when I make this video, and I like to do that because then you can have this information when you go to your local comic book shop and you know which books to get off the shelf. There are sometimes delays and that is unfortunate, but I just like to let people know so that if you go to your shop and you're like, hey, Cole said that I should get this book, you now know where I get that information. All right, normally when I talk about these books, I usually talk about either number ones or ongoing. This week I have a good amount of number ones, so I'm going to start with the number ones first. And the first book that I'm going to get into is Red Zone number 1. This is from writer Cullen Bunn. We've got artist Lee Luffridge. We also have artist Mike Deodato Jr. on this. Once again, this is Cullen Bunn returning to AWA. I have been a huge fan of most of the books that come out from AWA, but you're giving us writer Cullen Bunn, and from what I can tell, this looks to be maybe not a horror story. The cover on this one is kind of creepy, and I do like this. It's kind of like a James Bond-esque B cover that we have going on here. Once again, I think this is going to be a good book. Everything that I've picked up from AWA has been solid, and yeah, with Cullen Bunn at the helm, I think that this is a no-brainer. And next up, we have Hunt, Kill, Repeat number 1. This is from writer Mark London. We got penciler Francisco Archidiachano, and I definitely mispronounced that, and I am sorry. Inker Lee Luffridge and letterer Micah Myers. I'm going to quick read you the blurb for this because I think it sounds pretty cool. It's Kill Bill meets Clash of Titans in Hunt, Kill, Repeat. This all-new action-packed series by Mark London, Battle Cats, Knights of the Golden Sun. When the Greek gods invade Earth, society is quickly forced to comply with their new rulers. However, one god, Artemis, rejects her brethren's ideology and has found solace in love of a mortal. When she is called to Olympus to answer her betrayal, the gods strip away her godly powers and leave her for dead. Now, 10 years later, Artemis is on a quest for revenge to confront her father Zeus for taking away everything she ever loved. That sounds great. I love this cover. I love Zeus kind of lurking in the background of this. There's also a pretty cool B cover, and I will show off the C cover, but I think this is a Mad Cave exclusive. I don't know what that means in reference to Mad Cave, so if I have some Mad Cave fans in here, if you can leave in the comments or maybe while we're doing the live stream what that means, I would love to hear that. And the final book of the number ones, we're going to get Spider-Gwen, Shadow Clones number 1. Now, I know what a lot of people are thinking. A lot of people maybe don't like Spider-Gwen, and that is fine, but she is a character that my daughter loves, so I'm getting very into it. I'm so excited that I kind of completely skipped over everything. This is going to be written by Emily Kim, who I am not very familiar with, and we have artist Kai Zama. There are going to be a ton of variant covers for this. I'll probably have a few of them scrolling by as I'm talking about this, but every time that a Spider-Gwen book comes out, I try and get those so that I can read it and enjoy it. And maybe, just maybe, if my daughter is interested when she gets older, I'll have these books for her. I know that, sometimes we try and read these. I think sometimes these types of comics that are still written for at least more of a teenager, they're a little bit harder for her to get into just because I think there's a lot more writing. We have been having some good success with Double Trouble, the Miles and Spider-Man book, but I think these ones might still be a little too much for her right now. And as I mentioned earlier, I like to bring in a guest in to help me with this. It kind of keeps things fresh, right? Bringing in a guest, they have different thoughts of comics than I do. Usually it brings in an idea. Maybe, I've checked out a lot of these books myself because some of the stuff is stuff that I just haven't heard of. I reached out to DJ Lynx and asked him if he would be willing to come on, and he's here. So let's see what book he's going to pick.
What's going on, everybody? DJ Lynx here, and I want to thank Cole for inviting me to share my recommendation. So my recommendation for March 1st, New Comic Book Day, and I'm cheating a little bit because this is a story that already came out and it wrapped up, 7-issue story, but it's being released in trade paperback form, and that is Do a Powerbomb. Do a Powerbomb. I can't recommend it enough. It is easily one of the best stories that I've read over the last couple of years. Probably one of the best story arcs that I've read in my entire life. That's how much I love this thing. It's an absolute masterpiece, and it's my recommendation for March 1st, New Comic Book Day.
I have to agree with him. Do a Powerbomb was a fantastic book and one of my personal favorites of 2022. I'm pretty sure that Blake and I are going to be reviewing this on Tuesday. There's a good chance that we're going to be giving away either that trade. I might actually have a copy of issues 1 through 7. So if you have not read that, it might be worth it to come in, listen to us talk about that book. Make sure you get into that giveaway, and you'll have a chance to win that very book. So once again, DJ Lynx, thank you for stopping by and being the guest on today's most anticipated comics. If you guys have not subbed up to DJ Link, I'll have his information up here. You should go check it out. I personally am a member of the Link Squad. It is a great group to join, and he is an awesome dude that is also always doing awesome giveaways. He will also be going live tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard for In the Mix. Most likely. If he isn't, then maybe I lied. But you should check that out. It's usually a fun place to hang out. He's got a great panel of guests on his show every Friday, and they just talk pop culture, movies, whatever, and it's usually a pretty fun time. I normally only talk about 5 books, but this week I might talk about 6. I'm going to do a quick plug for The Human Target, issue number 12. This is writer Tom King. This is artist Greg Smallwood. This book has been so great. This is the final issue. I highly recommend it. And there's this awesome David Nakayama B cover that if you're a fan of David Nakayama, if you don't like Tom King, you can at least grab that cover and enjoy this. But this has been one of my favorite books that Tom King has written. I am excited to see how this wraps up, and if you haven't had it on your radar, it might be worth looking into getting those trades when it comes out. So last year a book came out called I Hate This Place. It's from writer Kyle Stark, artist Artemi Toppin, colorist Lee Luffridge, who has been killing it on my picks this week, letterer Pat Braceo, and I really love this first arc. I actually didn't know that there was going to be a second arc of it, so I'm very excited to see what happens with this new arc. This couple ends up inheriting this house. Some crazy stuff happens. There's all these ghosts, and they kind of have to deal with that. There's also some people that robbed a bank and put all money out there, so they're dealing with these while dealing with these ghosts in this haunted house. I'm excited to kind of see where this second arc goes. We see some kind of thugs maybe on this cover. I'm guessing that maybe they're trying to come back and get that money. I do love too that the variant covers for this pretty much change it to fuck this place, which I think they say a few times in the story, and have a lot of fun with it. So this is a good book. If you have not checked out I Hate This Place, I know that I read the first volume on Hoopla because it is a book that is available there. So if you use Hoopla from your local library, I highly recommend checking that out if you want to check out the trade for this. And my final book from the same writer as the last one is Where Monsters Lie, number 2. This is writer Kyle Stark, artist Peter Kowalski, colorist Vladimir Popov, and I loved this book so much. So Blake and I actually talked about this book when it came out for issue number 1. The idea of this is that all of these slasher serial killers live in this weird gated community together, and they end up, one of them, some of them are starting to like not want to kill anymore. One of them picks up gardening. So it's kind of, funny, but like it's pretty brutal too. Like there's just stabbing somebody in the eye with like a crochet needle. But yeah, there's like, somebody escapes from this town and leads a cop there. First issue ended with them kind of coming to this neighborhood. There are still 3 issues of this book and the cops just got there. So I'm excited to see what we have. I'm guessing we're going to see a lot of what these, slasher movie / serial killer style people have to offer as the cops raid their gated community. This one did a very good job of mixing that kind of like slasher horror vibe with humor that I think is really hard. I personally am kind of one of those people who have not really I don't love horror comedy. Evil Dead is kind of its own thing, but sometimes when you get into those B-list horror comedies, a lot of the time, I don't really love them all the time, but I think this book really captures that. So I think if you're looking for something fun, I would highly recommend checking out Where Monsters Lie. And I think I forgot to mention, this is a dark horse comic. And those were my most anticipated comics for March 1st, 2023. Once again, thank you to DJ Links for being my guest today. And for anyone out there in the audience, if you want to join me, please let me know. I love having new guests on to get their take on what their most anticipated comic is. Just like DJ Links, you can recommend a trade if you would like to. You can recommend a single issue, or maybe there's just a cover that you want. You can recommend that cover. I really don't have a lot of stipulations for this. I just like getting other people in to talk about what they're excited for on New Comic Book Day. And if you are new here and you enjoyed seeing what kind of books I'm excited for, I would love it if you gave me a subscribe. I end up making this video weekly, so hopefully I can bring you some more recommendations, or maybe I can just put a book on your radar that you weren't normally thinking about getting. I just recently passed over 940 subs, so I should be making a video soon for a 1,000 subscriber push, so please be on the lookout for that, as I will have a bunch of prizes and I'll probably end up doing a live stream in celebration of that. So once again, for everyone that is here who has been a subscriber, thank you. And as always, I have been Cole. A wise man once said, "Ride on and peace." All right, so I know that I just said goodbye, but once again, if you didn't subscribe, if you hit this little picture of me here, you can get on the subscribe right now. I've got a video of me opening some mail with my buddy Nick, and I'll have this playlist of all of the episodes of Most Anticipated Comics if you want to watch some reruns.